perception and its psychological manipulation discussed.
Introduction to my EPQ. My EPQ is going to be on human perception. This will cover what perception is, how it differs from truth and facts, how truth changes our perception, and vice versa. How we change others' perception, how the media, specifically the news, change our perception, and methods of which we use to change people's perception. I'm hoping that my EPQ will help me develop a further understanding of the mind and how humans see the world. I also think this will be useful for building a career in the media industry, as I have no subject in my A-levels which focus on the study of the mind, as I do media studies, film studies, and a BTEC Level 3 computer science. So I feel like this EPQ can fill a gap in my qualifications. I would also like to release this EPQ, as while I was researching sources, I found it very hard to find sources that specifically target the change in perception, as many sources cover how we perceive rather than why we perceive, which is what I would like to research. I also hope that working on this EPQ will help me change how I perceive things, and make me less susceptible to trying to change my opinions of facts. As in doing this EPQ, I will discover methods used by practitioners around the world that use tricks and language to make people see facts differently. I will delve into these methods, as I find that understanding how we change people's perception is crucial to understanding why we change people's perception. However, this is not the main focus of my EPQ. I also feel that it is quite crucial to understand when someone is trying to change our perception, as this is very close to manipulation, which throughout life I would like to avoid, as the word has negative connotations such as malicious intent. What is truth? By definition, truth has three meanings. The first is the quality or state of being true. The second is that which is true according to fact or reality. And finally, a fact or a belief that is accepted as true. The first two definitions describe truth as what there is, as in a fact or a statistic, which can't be described as anything else, also known as absolute truth. However, the third definition describes personal truth, the idea that a belief is truth, when it has valid backing. However, unlike the other type of truth, this one changes. An example of this is how in the 1940s it was thought that homosexuality was a genetic disorder that could be taught out of a person, and if they are not compliant, it would end with them being castrated, which was thought would stop them from spreading their genes, which is very different to today's beliefs on homosexuality. Another example of this type of truth is found in science, as scientific theories which are always changing, such as the theory of geocentricity and heliocentricity, the first of which says that the sun rotates around the earth, and the second says the earth rotates around the sun. But hundreds of years ago, geocentricity was the common truth, but now heliocentrism is the common truth. What is perception? Perception is the translation from facts to opinions in the mind, also described as the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses, or the way in which something is regarded, understood, or interpreted. I'm going to focus on the second definition of perception, as the first explains physical perception, which is how you perceive rather than why you perceive, which is what I want to focus on. The second definition fits in line with the idea of perception being the interpretation of events, which is understood from the event. The word understood is used very loosely in this sentence, as a version of perception is not facts or absolute truth, which is understood, but someone's interpretation of facts, which they understand. I like how TED Ed puts this. TED Ed is a company that focuses on teaching people around the world knowledge they would otherwise wouldn't have universities all over the world in places such as Kyoto and Sydney, and regularly have speakers from all around the world come and give lectures about what they do to undergraduates. And then this is put on YouTube by TEDed. This source presents the story of two men in a car park. The video talks mainly on how we perceive, so the transfer from facts to opinions. So that makes the source less useful, but it still applies. The first man turns on his indicator, goes to pull in the parking spot, when another man rushes into it and parks before the first man can. This enrages the first man, and he starts shouting at the man, as the first man feels there is no acceptable reason for what has happened. The man who parked in the space then apologises to the first driver, and said that his wife has gone into labour in the mall. The first man apologises back to the soon-to-be father, and they both carry on. The story shows how fact can change perception, and how looking at an event from a different angle can change your opinion of it. Our perception is adapting and forever changing, as events make you see certain things differently. A great example of this is Adolf Hitler, as what he saw and what he experienced led him to have his views. When Hitler's mother died, he was told by a Jewish doctor. This was the first negative event in his life which he could associate with someone Jewish. Around 1913, Hitler lived in Vienna, where there was a high percentage of Jewish people in the population, and it was also a very anti-Semitic area. With an anti-Semitic majority and a Semitic minority, with several anti-Semitic newspapers as well, it was very easy for Hitler, being a struggling artist. He was inclined to let the minority take the blame for his failures. Hitler also caught syphilis from a Jewish prostitute. These and other events caused Hitler's perception of the Jewish people to change. The reason why I chose to include Hitler's early life and how he perceived Jews is because perception can change in a positive way or a negative way.
How has perception been manipulated in the past? Perception is surprisingly very easy to manipulate. You can manipulate perception by selecting which facts you want to look at. If you want to tell a story to a friend about how someone was pushing you on the train without an apology or asking you to move, you might not tell the part of the story where the other passengers pushing this person forward to get to the door and had no time to ask you to move or apologise to you. You would have left out the points that the man had no choice, but kept in the points that made the man seem arrogant and rude. A real-world example of manipulating perception is from CNN, where they selectively edited a speech from the sister of a victim of a police shooting, which caused the Milwaukee riots. While the sister of the victim was making a speech, she was talking about the rioters destroying the urban areas. She mentions that they shouldn't be destroying these areas, and how it needs to stop. CNN showed this part of her speech, making her seem like the grieving sister, pleading for the end of the violence on the streets. However, directly after that, she says that the rioters should be going to the suburbs to destroy what is there instead, which shows the sister in a contrapuntal state to how CNN imaged her. Will Stephen is currently a performer in the Upright Citizens Brigade Theatre and host of College Humour Live, and is writer for College Humour as well as being the political editor of the company as well. He was asked by TEDx to do one of their talks. His talk is titled, How to Sound Smart in Your TEDx Talk. It is all about how through the way he moves and talks, no matter what he says, it will sound intelligent, as our brains are more impacted by how someone moves and speaks rather than what they say. In his talk, he also uses human prejudice to seem smart as shown when he reveals the glasses he is wearing are just frames. He says that this is so he can seem smarter to the audience. This trick to perception is true and shown by Homer Leder, a professor in cognitive psychology and has been the head of the Department of Basic Psychological Research and Methods at the University of Vienna since 2004. From Hermann Ledger's article, The Glasses Stereotype Revisited, he does confirm the foreign glasses will make you look smarter. In our first experiment, testing stereotypical evaluations, we found that faces with full-rim glasses are evaluated as less attractive and more intelligent than faces without glasses. This confirms the glasses stereotype. Conclusion, second paragraph, line 1-4, the glasses stereotype revisited. Perception isn't just manipulated by words. Perception can be tricked into causing the brain to perceive an image or object. These are commonly known as optical illusions, which use how the brain is wired to trick the brain to think that still images are moving and make colours of an image look differently from its original colours, when the two are in fact the same. However, another way of deceiving by image are when two pictures are made into one. A very well-known example of this is the duck or rabbit illusion, where a duck and a rabbit are put together situations where perception can be manipulated positively. Perception can be manipulated and is mostly manipulated in negative ways. These ways are very well known. Stuff like the indoctrination of youth in the USSR and Nazi Germany. In these situations, powerful people would use their stature to make children believe in a view that the ruler does. However, the manipulation of perception can also be good, as it can cause the mind of one affected to be tricked into believing something which could help them. An example of this is from a post on Reddit, a social media site which allows you to post topics for people all around the world to see. The post said you had to turn once before you could fall asleep in bed. Many people started doing this and reported back saying that it did indeed work. However, the Reddit user later posted in one of these comments that it was a lie. What he had done is placed a requirement in the minds of those who saw it that they needed to turn once before they slept. Filling this requirement then allowed them to sleep easier. In conclusion, perception is manipulated for several reasons and has several effects on the minds of those affected. Perception is all about what we can know from what we see rather than the facts that are present. It's what we believe rather than what is there. Perception will change how you see the world, as it already has. From our pre-birth experiences, we gain our basic instincts. We learn that big animals should be avoided and that if we are in pain, to cry for help. We already have perception of the world from birth, and then what we see and experience influences our perception of the world. Neuroscientist Mark S. Bloomberg has done several experiments and has made many empirical observations of wildlife and challenges the theory that all instincts are genetic inherited in his book, The Basic Instinct, The Genesis of Behavior. Bloomberg suggests that from our pre-birth experiences that what we experience whilst in the room become our basic instincts. One such proof of this that he shows is that children under 3 months old prefer the faces of those with the same gender as those who look after them. This was commonly theorized that infants preferred female faces, but due to the societies at the time of this theory, it meant that the experiment was negatively influenced as the kids were raised by housewives. However, Bloomberg shows if the child is nurtured predominantly by a male, then the child prefers male features over female ones. This shows off human perception and the extent it influences the brain. Also in Bloomberg's book, he mentions ducklings and their parents. During a duckling's pre-hatch period, it hears the call of its mother, and it hears its own call whilst in the egg. If the duckling has its vocal cords removed with a laser while in the egg, it will not be able to recognise its mother. This is because its perception of its affiliation with its mother is changed, as it cannot hear its own voice and cannot draw connections between its own voice and its mother's. Perception is a key part of our day-to-day living, as it composes all of our opinions and is a method in which we communicate with. With such strong links between perception and opinion, perception is often manipulated to affect others' opinions, to be in line with someone else's ideals. This is very common in marketing, as if you can make advertising visually appealing, connect to the target audience, and will cause many people to change their current opinions on the advertiser. Overall, I believe that perception is a very important part of everyone's lives and should be understood to not fall into the traps of others and to understand our own minds, as it allows you a more critical life as you break down a person's actions to understand their aims.